Thank you for joining this lesson, quantity of heat. Part A, we're taught to define the term heat capacity. We should know that heat capacity is the amount of heat energy required to change the temperature of a given mass of a substance by 1 Kelvin or 1 degree Celsius, or rather by 1 unit. You can say 1 unit, 1 degree Celsius, or 1 Kelvin. So that amount of heat energy that will change the temperature of a substance through 1 degree, 1 Kelvin, or 1 unit is called heat capacity. Part B, you are provided with the following, or with the apparatus shown in the figure 5 and a stopwatch. So you have a stopwatch. This is an immersion heater of known power, P, then a lagged calorimeter. Then we got a scale here. This one measures mass. So what we are taught to do is to describe an experiment to determine the specific latent heat of steam. LV, using the setup. In your answers, clearly explain the measurements to be made and how these measurements should be used to determine the latent heat of vaporization, specific latent heat of vaporization. So what you do is, we first of all heat the water until it starts boiling. Heat water until boiling. Then once you've heat water until boiling, you can measure mass. You can call it M1, and simultaneously and immediately and at the same time start the stopwatch. Then after a certain period of time, after time t, record the new mass and stop the stopwatch. The new mass can be called M2. So now I want you to know that when you are starting the stopwatch, you had recorded a certain mass, and as the experiment continued, the mass reduced with the time because some water is evaporating. Remember, you've started counting time or recording time at boiling point. Therefore, some water is evaporating. So what you discover is that for water to evaporate, that is to turn to steam, it absorbs latent heat of vaporization. Therefore, we can say the heat supplied by the heater during this time now, heat supplied by heater will be equal to heat absorbed by water to vaporize. The heat absorbed by water to vaporize. Therefore, heat supplied by heater, heat energy will be given by power times time. Remember, you've calculated time. So this is equal to heat absorbed by water to vaporize. And this is happening at a constant temperature because the water was already at the boiling point. Therefore, this is given by mass times latent heat of vaporization. So power multiplied by time equals to mass. The mass will be mass 1 minus mass 2 because we want the mass that has evaporated. So the initial minus the final mass. So to remain with latent heat of vaporization, we need power times time divided by mass 1 minus mass 2. So that is how we obtain the latent heat of vaporization, specific latent heat of vaporization of steam. Thank you for following. Subscribe and share.